Hi and welcome to the Flatback 4 podcast with me, Andy McGuire, of course joining me, Scott Eaglen, and a returning guest, our first guest back on in lockdown. Now our first guest, Lockdown 2.0, Mr. Iain Dowie. How are you doing, mate?
Very good, thank you.
Good man. I mean, I can't believe this. I can't believe 6 months on we're still actually in this position where we're talking about football in lockdown, but we do want to pick your brains on certain aspects because a lot has happened since the end of last season, but we want to concentrate more on this season. First of all, we're about 10 games in. Calvert-Lewin's turned into prime Messi. We've got things going on at Man United that we can't really explain. Ollie turns into a prime Fergie when he needs a result. What have you made of these first 10 games of the season?
But you think about demands, and I hanker back to my time doing it. Demands of not really having a pre-season and going into the games this quick, this fast, this short turnaround. You know, it sounds like, you know, I'm yearning for the yesteryears, but you know, you think about the difficulty in dealing with nutrition, hydration, and all them things that go with it. It's just beyond belief. So, you know, for me, I think there's an element of they're undercooked and still are. I don't, you know, if you go in and you know, all right, it was a very short pre-season, but nonetheless, you can't get that attention to detail and getting that right up to physically at the right level. So put that to one side. Defending's become a dying art. No one bothers defending anymore.
What defending?
Yeah, well, exactly right. So I mean, even you know, of course, they've lost Van Dijk. Even you think Van Dijk in the game against Leeds, you know, the nonchalance to which he tried to flick that ball up Bamford's head. It's just not. It's not a defense. You know what that screams is you got no defensive intensity. You know that's a really difficult ball to deal with. He's trying then to flick it with the outside of his boot. And I'm not criticising because I think he's probably the best I've seen on his peak. But I think there's a load of very, very poor defending about, and I think that's because, in a good way, the demands of the game, we've got to play open and attractive styles. I mean, you know, I watched the Leicester Leeds game. You know, it's beyond belief. You know, you've got to admire the way he plays, and no one even seems to think. You know, yes, were Leeds open? Are Leeds always open? Yes. You think about how close they came to going the other way that game in just after half time, and then compare the budgets. I mean, he's got a £40 million young centre half there. Other players are 40 million. Bielsa's doing it on a shoestring. He's got. I'm not going to use Stuart Dallas as a prime example. Stuart Dallas, who was, you know, now. So the job he's done in getting his team competitive at this level is quite incredible when you consider it, given the money spent. But throughout the core, it's a prime example of he can go to anywhere and make teams look poor. I mean, goes to Villa and, you know,
I know.
It's so. Do I think defending is an art? Yes, I do. And I, you know, I've got to say, I admire a little bit what Roy Hodgson does at times. You know, his sides are difficult to break down and difficult to score against. You know, I don't think it was like it yesterday. It was a very open game against Leeds again, apparently. But my view is he has ability to set his teams up to defend, and budgets. The difference between budgets is so different, you know. And so rightly so. You know, Chris Wilde has always played an open and attractive side at Sheffield United. Has to be admired for it, even last year. This year's not working out as well, but
they can't get a rhythm at all, can they? I know they can't get any rhythm.
He's got, you know, in terms of what he's brought in, you know, the keepers, whatever the money was.
Yeah.
You're not competitive unless you've got a 25, 30 million pound centre forward. You know what I mean by that? And that's.
Yeah, I know. I mean, like you said with the defending, obviously we're seeing this constant goalkeepers getting caught out by when you see the fullbacks drop back and they're playing the ball out and they're playing so deep and we're watching Leeds, obviously as Leeds fans, you watch it and go, oh my gosh, you know, you're going to lose it. But that is just like the thing. And if you don't have a ball playing centre half now, you're kind of considered not old school. It's weird because you've just touched on it there, but the art of defending, you know, I sometimes love seeing a 0-0 and love seeing a defence on top when you do it. But I mean, I think we've had 2 0-0s at the start of the Premier League I think we've had. And while it's exciting for the neutral and whatnot, I'm not liking the fact of there's 4 or 5 goals a game, because I do think it takes because I love a good defender, and like you say, Van Dijk is one of the best. Going back to that challenge with Pickford, do you think that was was that just rash keepering, or do you think I think it was just rash. I think he got a lot of unfair stick.
If you slow it down super slow-mo, like all things, I mean,
of course it does.
My view is, I think he's lucky that he's got as much support as he has from Southgate. He's been. I look at it in terms of that. Even yesterday, I mean, it should have been another penalty.
The same again, yeah.
He drops it, and
he was lucky.
How that's not a penalty? I don't understand. Anyway, but what I'm saying is he misreads the flight of the ball. He throws himself to try and stay big and block. And is it irresponsible? Yeah, it probably is. Does he have any malice in it? I don't think there's any thought of him trying to hurt him.
No, I agree.
It's a poor challenge. The other one, on the other hand, the one later in the game, on the field, I thought there was a bit more. I thought that was edgy. I
agree.
I hate to say, I even think he might have thought he was not only protecting him, but trying to hurt I thought that was one in our day that would have been nasty, So Pickford's been, he's got to stop making errors. And
what happens with
Everton
Pickford,
looking vulnerable. Everton are looking vulnerable now, very vulnerable.
What happens though with Pickford, Ian? Because Southgate, like you said, he has a lot of. He seems to like Pickford, and he says until he does anything wrong. But surely his confidence must be taken. Even though Everton have had a good start, there's question marks over Pickford, and I think that we have got a lot of good goalkeepers. Scott always talks about having competition's good, and if you look at De Gea now, Henderson's gone back to Man United. He's found a bit of form again, De Gea, and he's actually been quite good. So so is it Pickford? I know they brought in the other keeper at Everton. What's his name? Scott. What's he called? But it was competition. I put you on the spot there. Sorry, but I think Pickford has not found that form again that made him England World Cup keeper, fantastic penalty save. He's not the most intimidating goalkeeper, is he?
He's not massive. I agree. And it's you think about Edison, they're big power. They're specimens. You know what I mean? And dominant goal.
Who was an intimidating keeper when you played? Who was that intimidating keeper? David Seaman was a big guy.
Seaman was a very intimidating team. But I've got to say, it's a different game because you played against intimidating back fours.
That's true.
Yeah, and there was a evolution at Arsenal. If you didn't get absolutely cleaned out in the first 4 minutes at Arsenal, and what I'm saying, when the ball got played up to you, you know what's coming. Even if I lay it off, which I did, you're getting cleaned out. So there's one free. You're getting one free straight from behind as hard as you can get, and try and wipe you out and see if you fancy it. That's
an Arsenal that we've not seen in a long time.
You don't never see it at Arsenal, and still, I don't care what you say. I mean, Arsenal, he has done really well, but still, I like the boy Gabriel.
He looks good, and Partey looks a bit of a beast. Partey's
magnificent. So people forget how good he is going the other way.
Yeah.
If you ever look back at Atletico Madrid, how much he's good on the ball and being in forward areas. People say he's just a defensive mid. He's much more than he can do the whole hit. He's
got that Vieira feel.
Yeah, he has. He's
that little bit of a swag. Yeah,
he's made a huge difference. When you think about Aubameyang and the like ahead of him, Saka, and there's some talented lads there. I'm just going back to. I actually think talking about Gabriel, it's a really good piece of business. See, I think Koch at Leeds is a really good piece of business. All right, he's made a mistake or two. Yeah. But for the money they pay for him, he's going to be a player. The boy, he's going to be a player.
They do like him, don't they? They like him at international level as well.
There's a reason he plays for Germany, isn't there?
Harry Maguire's 80 million. Okay, I know it's extremes, but that lad, what they pay 7, 8, 9 million, maybe 10 million.
With a few add-ons here.
Yeah, so you're not reading the same ballpark of where you're going to get. Having said that, my view is I think Koch, as poor as an error as he made the other day, that's going to learn. He's going to learn You can't do that. That's
it's just a bit rash at the minute, I think.
Yeah,
He's just being a little bit rash. I think the intelligence is there from him. Me and Scott have said it, and we've got a little WhatsApp group going. I think he's just been a little bit rash, but he's got that Jonathan Woodgate-esque for me about him sometimes. The way he's very classy, very, he does command it, but then he just has that moment of like, Premier League super quick, innit?
But we're seeing lots of individual errors this season, aren't we? And I don't know what you think about this, Ian, but do you think we're seeing more individual errors because of the lack of the crowd, maybe the concentration levels aren't quite there?
Yeah, 1,000%. I did West Ham Newcastle last year at the end of the season. I went to St James's Park. It's the eeriest thing I've ever seen. The game.
Yeah.
It was. By the way, I'm telling you, the intensity is 10% less from the players because I don't. It's just. It's like, imagine. I mean, I don't care what you say. Even if you watch Eddie Herzl and things at the Matchroom, his garden. It's not quite. It's not that raw and By the way, if you're getting beat, imagine if you're getting beat 6-1 at Old Trafford in front of 75,000 by Tottenham.
It wouldn't happen.
People would go running on the pitch.
Yeah.
So of course, there's an expectation, and that demands you're at your peak.
Would Villa at a 1-7-2 against Liverpool?
Self-motivation is a big thing here. I think it shows.
No,
who is incredibly intense. And I've got to say, I love the comment of Roy Keane. Smash someone. My view is that when he's talking about you got to look within, I think this comes to the fore in no crowds in there. You know what I mean? And they're used to these magnificent arenas. And he made the point. They're still playing at Old Trafford. What arena to play in? And I think what's saying to him is he can't stand the inconsistency.
Yeah.
The heart of that, and that's where it is. What United's going to do, they look great one day, look terrible the next. Marcus Rashford is incredible young man who looks like the best centre forward in world football one day, and then you just don't. I don't see. Honestly, I'm not using his example. You don't see the same enthusiasm for the game another day, and that's United at the moment. I think.
I agree, and do you know what, Ian? I mean, I've not played to a level like you did, but whenever I do something, and Scott will tell you, I'm a very, very bad loser. So when I train to win. But some players. Yeah, I mean, I remember I sometimes listen to Ray Powell and he goes, God, sometimes you'd be on the training pitch, you think he can't play at the week, and then he'd go and put out a 10 out of 10 performance, and some players are like that, and I get that, they go a little bit easier. And but me, I have to do everything. And when Roy Keane speaks, we text all the time, don't we, Scott, and talk about Roy Keane, and we love that thing. But the Villa game was a prime example. When they beat Liverpool, first of all, would they have beaten Liverpool with a crowd there? But then I'm also going with the fact that certain players are going, I'm going to do this pass because even if it goes wrong, I'm not going to have 40,000 Villa fans screaming at me if it goes wrong. So therefore, I think players are going, do you know what? I'm not going to get shouted at. I'm going to try that ball, and it's come off.
And actually, Andy, you're seeing more players now who would normally be criticised by the crowd. We talk about Bamford a lot, don't we? Bamford used to get criticised all last season. Who's now, shackles are off his back a little bit, and he's scoring. What is he, 6-7 this season so far?
Did you see that coming, Ian? Did you see Bamford scoring 7?
No, but to be fair to him, you look at some of them goals. The 3 he got the other day.
Oh,
I mean, that's top draw. Footwork and should there be?
If Aubameyang scores them, they're all over Sky Sports. They're all over everything.
He has shown. Tell what he has got. But I didn't realise how quite quick he is. He is quick when he's in his stride, Bamford. That's how...
Right, well, let's talk about yesterday then, Ian, with the point. I mean, come on. I mean, I can't believe, actually, what I'm watching now in football. How can this be classed as offside?
No, it can't.
I mean, I'm losing the will to live with it, Ian, because it's spoiling the game.
I've got to say, I've said this for a while. I don't think they've got... they've got referees judging other referees.
Yeah. So, and we have Mike Dean in
my view is you haven't got any football knowledge of it. I mean, my view is some of them. I mean, I look at I'm not being rude. The Harry McGuire one yesterday.
Yeah.
I mean, does he get cleaned out by Pickford?
Are they watching it like this, Ian?
No,
they've got to be.
Because the dad hasn't given a penalty. He's protecting the referees' union for me, and that's not a criticism because VAR in lots of ways great, but I do think Bamford was a goal yesterday, and by the way, that changes the game.
Yeah, it does.
The game.
We were poor yesterday, but you're right, it does change the game.
if any team's going to hurt you, it's with the form Zaha's in at the moment. And listen, it's clever from Roy, because I'm not being rude. He picks Ailing out as he knows that Zaha can get at him. Not that Ailing's not been nothing but magnificent. He has, but he ain't going to run with Zaha, and that's just the way it is. So
they seem to target that, didn't they?
They did.
Perfect.
He's a clever manager, Roy, and he's listen. Whether they're there on a good run at the moment, they're a difficult side to play against because they don't mind not having the ball, and what they do, they'll kill you when they hurt you on the counter attack. And they've got players, Zaha, Townsend, Ayew. It's got a bit of quality in there.
I think Townsend's been their best. He's been their best player, I think, this season. Townsend, I think he's been fantastic. Super consistent. Yeah, super consistent. I just want to touch going back onto another team that we've already mentioned them with Man United, but Solskjaer they've had two great results in the Champions League against Salzburg and PSG. Then they go and lose in a league. Is it a case of playing three at the back and that they're a little bit more solid? Pogba, he can't seem to get in the team, and then you've got 40 million Van der Beek who can't even get a sniff. What is Ollie? What is he doing? What's the situation?
What I'm saying is he doing it? My view is, if you look at Raw in terms of his people who came to the club since he's been there, Wan-Bissaka, is there better one-on-one? No. I mean, listen, if you're going to take him on the race, can he get better on the ball? Yeah, I think, and something I would drive him through. But
he's the best defender.
I think he's one of them that and I think he's done brilliantly. And by the way, there's nothing wrong with being a good defender. We're talking about it.
No.
Gives them a balanced one side. They put Telles in. So, I think they need to stop. I think that's an area they've got to improve.
But Luke Shaw's improved. He has actually improved since you bought Telles in. He's actually raised his game.
Yeah, I think he has improved. But what I like is what my judgment of a different. I'd like him to run back as quick as he runs forward.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, he doesn't do that.
But if you look at the players in there, Wan-Bissaka, Harry Maguire. Yeah. When you have to say because that money is sort of bit, but you think
he is a good defender. He is. There is a player there.
Fernandez, Van der Beek. I mean, they're can't say that Fernandez has been nothing more than a sensational success.
Unbelievable. I saw a thing actually. He's been involved in 30 of 33 goals since he come in, which I was blown away by that stat.
If he is, but I look at that. Yeah, I don't know what's happened with Paul Pogba. Because he still there's little moments even like that the other week when he hits that raking 70-yard ball like it's his. He does it every week. And you go, wow! Listen, I think he's one of the most talented lads I've ever seen. I think I don't know what's happened with his motivation, what's happened, but he's not the same. Imagine him not scoring; he should score for fun. He's 10 goals a season easy. Yeah. Now it's like 2 goals in 30, 40 games or something. So it's a problem. And I'm going back to. I think there is a lack of leadership. Show me where's.
Who are the leaders? Who are the leaders in that team?
In that team, you think about it. Who do you think?
Well, you got. I like Juan Mata. He's a bit of a silent. He's not a leader, as in he'll do it. But I think he's a great. He
doesn't play that often, does he? He played yesterday.
No, he's not. But he's getting ahead of. He's a 32-year-old season pro, fantastic player, and he's getting ahead of Paul Pogba, who's meant to be coming into his prime. And this is what I mean about Van der Beek. They bought him. I didn't think they needed him. The young lad Twanzebe was phenomenal against PSG. Had Kylian Mbappe in his back pocket, and yet then he can't really get a game in the league. And I think, for confidence-wise, you got a young player like that who came on, and I thought it was a masterclass by him.
I think he's a good defender. I quite like what I see with him. And I think it's a bit of a rough diamond there. I think if you polish him up, I think he's got some. If you've got that blistering pace, there's such a difference because you can almost get away with it.
True.
So. My view is it's the size of the club. I think it's and the quality of the players in certain areas. There's an imbalance for me in it.
Totally.
My view is you think about what Pep Guardiola's done now in Diaz and Nepal.
Yeah.
He looks good, that Diaz, doesn't he?
It's just a different level.
Yeah.
You know, my view is I like Diaz. He's coming, you know, and he'll make errors. You just cannot compare. You know,
but I will say that though a bit. But he has spent 700 million.
Yeah.
He spent, what is it, $500 million he spent on defenders to try and even get it right.
I just don't. I think that's what I'm talking to you about. I think there seems that I don't know, the Brian Robsons, the Roy Keanes, the Steve Bruces, them driving elements. And by the way, Robson and Keane are probably the best players in the team. Stevie Bruce less so, and that's not rude to him. But you know, that ability to drive people on. Yeah, I think they need that, you know. And I think, mate, listen, is he a roast them from the sidelines type of lad?
Yeah.
Probably.
He's not that kind, is he? He wasn't like that as a player. He was a phenomenal player. Yeah.
You know, I think the Pochettino.
It's not going away, that is it?
They can't keep going. I mean, listen, he's clearly a brilliant manager, Pochettino. But Ollie's. I think Ollie's done a decent job there. But the trouble is, decent's not good enough. You know what I mean? My view is.
I was going to ask that then, Ian. So, do you think did they keep Ollie? Because, like you say, second managers bringing players. You know,
I think they've got to give him. I don't think they'll change it to the end of the season. And by the way, he may go on an incredible run. You know, he deserves. You know, listen, I want him to do well. You know, he's a player that I've admired. He's got the Man United job probably when he hadn't. You know, the jobs he'd had been of a different level than Man United. You get
just a bit.
And don't forget, Rio. I remember Rio Ferdinand saying to me, you know, when you step in, you can't draw. You draw a game. You can't draw. You're Man United, and he doesn't know who's coming to town or go where you go. Don't matter if you're going to PSG or even Bayern now. He was saying at the time, go to Bayern. We expect you to win. We're not expecting to draw.
Yeah.
Go in and win.
No. So, God, they're a different breed at the minute. I watched them last night.
I know. The magnitude. That was an open game.
Yeah.
Sula's a huge loss to Bayern.
Yeah. Did you see the offside goal in that game for Lewandowski? I mean, he shot. I think it was his shot, little bit of his shot. It was ridiculous. It was just pathetic. I mean, he's only going to get 60 goals this season.
In the deepest, I want Ollie to succeed because I think he's a decent human being. I think has he got problems within the dressing room? Not that they don't like him. I think it's a problematic dressing room because you've got. I don't know what's happened with Paul Pogba.
There's some bad eggs. I think we can safely say there's a few bad eggs there.
Bad eggs. But I'm just saying I don't know where is arguably the best midfield player in the world at one period, close to it anyway. Is that gone? Can't go at his age. It can't go. He's still a fantastic athlete.
Oh yeah. I don't.
Somewhere along the line, it's like he doesn't want to be there anymore.
Yeah, I agree. I think he wants a change. Go on, Scott. You were saying something.
Yeah, that goal the other night then in Istanbul. Who takes the blame for that awful defending? Is that the manager's fault for maybe not organising?
That is. It's not just the worst. I mean, what part of the defensive universe are you ever looking at? I mean, how can you have Demba Ba in your own? How can all them players be that far forward and not have someone behind Demba Ba or close to him?
And it was Matic that. I mean, no offense to Matic, cracking player, but he's 6'2" and he's like running through mud, isn't he? Sometimes.
What I'm talking about, defensive awareness. Where's that? I had a thing when sort of players, most of the players would probably shout to the rooftops. I should say to him, what if? You're a defender, you've got to have a what if brain. What if he loses it there?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
And that they don't have a what if brain. No one in that team has a what if brain. My view is Robson, Ferdinand, Vidic, they had what if brains.
Yeah.
They let the brilliant players go and score.
Why didn't Dean Henderson though shout as well? Why he could see. You should be like, get back. There's Demba Ba there.
Yeah, I mean, it is a staggering goal. But the other thing is, I don't know whether that you go. I mean, you shouldn't underestimate what that does for the Turkish side. By the way, that result is
first ever goal. I know.
Huge for them, but almost you've got to be careful that the side he picks are not a little bit lack of respect for, I listen. Will they get out of the group? Yes, I will. I think they will. But it does. they're a big jump behind the elite teams in world football. You couldn't.
I agree.
You could, and what I'm saying, there is that Man City, there is that Liverpool, and by the way, all this rubbish about, of course they're missing Van Dijk, but will they be a bit more fragile defensively? But bloody hell, try and stop them scoring.
Yeah, Jota, who was one of my picks.
Hell of a result in Atalanta, by the way.
I know, and you know what as well? I said last year. I said last year we were talking about transfers, me and Scott, and I said, I think Jota would fit into that Liverpool. And now I'm not saying that I'm Mystic Mac, right? Yeah. But I did say that Jota would be good in that team.
You are saying that.
Honestly,
I honestly thought he.
Listen, I didn't see that coming, but I was going to say it's been a brilliant addition, and it has fired him up a bit. I mean, it's be interesting to see if he plays today, won't it?
He will. He'll play. He's got to play. Firmino he's a good link-up player. We spoke about it on the last time you were on. Great link-up player. But he's not scoring enough, and I think
he's better than a
competition.
Good link. He's better than a good link-up player. I mean, don't forget they score that amount of goals because he does what he does. The other lad, you know what I mean? My view is, I think he will play today, but they've got so many good players in the team, It's
competition, Ian. It's like what we said, you bring Jota in, and Firmino's looking over his shoulder a bit. He's 29 now. I just want to talk about good signings. Obviously, we've got Gareth Bale back, which is great for the Premier League, and great for Gareth Bale because I've missed not seeing him play. But when you look at Spurs' front line, and with the defences not being on top, me and Scott spoke about it many a times, if they can just click with the Jose Mourinho, they probably have their best chance to go and win silverware this year, whether it's the Premier League or not. But you look at their front line with Moura, Son, Kane, and I want to ask you, we spoke about Son last time you were on, how he is a superb footballer. Is he world class? I think he is. I think he's world class.
Who's the best player in the Premier League this year?
Probably, I would say Kane. Because I think because he's dropped back and he's
Definitely. Kane is of a different level. I mean, some of his is. Listen, not only is he still getting his goals, his level of performance and his pass execution has been for a centre forward.
Southampton game.
It's just immense. So my view is they are dangerous. You add in Moura, you add in Lamela. You had in Ndombele, quite like. You had Sissoko in there, he's got energy.
Well, they've got that Vinicius as well, who looks Italian from Benfica. I watched him last year. He looks.
I think he looks the part. So they've got great, and they'll be pulling your hair out moments for Mourinho because the defence is not quite doing what it's doing.
I know.
I've got to say, I think they're in a shake-up of. You wouldn't want to play against their front three because what they have the brilliant ability to do is you get a ball in the Kane and Son makes a run, it's a goal.
I agree.
Or vice versa.
They can kill you. They can kill you. And the only way really of getting out of that is having blistering pace at the back. And who has that? Man City have it with Kyle Walker and blah. He's
had a good season, hasn't he? Kyle Walker.
Recognising he's a good, he's got great recovery pace. Yes, and seeing them errors gone away, but you have that pace at right back. It's such a benefit.
Is that age though now, Ian? Is that age with Kyle Walker? Is it age with Kyle Walker now? He's got a little bit. He's 30-year-old now.
Yeah. He seems to be a bit, a bit maturing, but I think Spurs are definitely in the shake-up if they win again this weekend.
Yeah. Top four or challenging, or do you still think Man City, Liverpool?
I think. Well, I certainly think they're a step ahead of where United are. I mean, I don't know.
Yeah.
United's midfield, and I think United's midfield's better than theirs, but it's not really the way it's playing out because Harry Kane.
It's a weird season.
It is. It's very weird.
I can't.
The asterisk season. The asterisk season.
It is. It's just. It's so bizarre. It's. I mean, just touching on other players. I mean, we had Danny Ings and Calvert-Lewin. I mean, what Ralph Hasenhutl's doing at Southampton. Obviously, your ties there with Southampton. Shea Adams. He's another one that seems like he's thriving now.
Listen, again, if you look at the money he spent, it looks at value. Listen, I like Danny Ings. Always have done. I think there's a man. Shea Adams has got raw pace and power. His finish yesterday was top draw. Theo Walcott's a very clever.
Been excellent. Yeah.
Walcott has just been reborn again.
But I mean, listen, I think when you look back at season or two ago, I think his numbers, the goals and assists he got involved with was quite high. Yet because he hadn't scored of that, people were looking down on him and thought that Bernard was better than him. I mean, my view is, if you're having a player that flips in and out of the game, which both of them tend to do, I'd probably that Walcott over thing. But you know, he's now moved on. He looks comfortable in his skin down there. And it looks a good move for him. So
I think it's a good move. I think it was a good move all round for Theo Walcott.
They're decent. They're looking very, very, very good in lots of areas.
Look at Ward-Prowse. You talk about Pogba. Look at someone like Ward-Prowse who's taking games by the scruff of the neck and he's picking out passes. He's everything that you would expect a 90 million, prime Paul Pogba to do. And Ralph seems to have got the, because we're on first name turf, it's me and Ralph. He seems to be getting a tune, and everyone talks about that Leicester defeat last year, but. I think they had a man sent off as well. Them freak games happen, but what he's done to get back, and now they're sitting at the summit. I don't know how long for, but the likes of Ralph Hasenhüttl who get tunes out of players and that, you can't go unnoticed. Look at what Brendan Rodgers is doing. Brendan Rodgers could walk into that Man United job. I think we spoke about that before. Like, he's a top manager. Look what Vardy did to Leeds the other week. He ruined us. He ruined us.
Yeah, well, listen, Vardy's the best centre forward to do that. They run behind. Trust me, but look at Alan Shearer's number of goals he got when he was at Blackburn when he run behind defenders. People say if they had the Charlie ball, called the Charlie, so he'd shout Charlie. That means he'd come towards the ball and he'd run behind, and the ball would just get flipped over. Called it a Charlie ball, and he scored no end of chances. Vardy is that player. But you see, but I'm talking about this is what's become. Southampton can go, for example, go to Chelsea and score 3 and whatever. That's the way you can. So Leicester can go, to Man City and get 5. My view is that type of game it can happen now. And I think, I look at Southampton's team. There's some fundamental great parts of it.
Yeah.
Some fundamentally not so good parts of it. In terms of that, but they're that mid-table team that could
push for a Europa League place. I think they're good enough.
Surprise, who knows? They absolutely could. It was a surprise. But I'm saying, I watched Vestergaard a couple of seasons ago, and he had a horrendous time. Now it seems like he's becoming more assured, and sometimes it takes time. We never seem to understand that. You see players go abroad. And it takes time for them to settle into the culture. It does, I think sometimes you got to give people time. I still think there's nowhere near enough players go and play abroad. I think
we've said that. I know.
So often.
How many times have we said that, Scott, in the last few years?
Jude Bellingham come on last night. I mean, he looks like a man.
Exactly.
He looks like he's, even though he's not starting, and they've got the.
It's a bit hard to get into that team.
He's got. How scary is he going to be, Haaland? I mean,
his movement, that little run that he made inside the defender,
his pace and his power. He could have got 4 last night. And
I think it's because he was born in Leeds. If I'm being completely honest,
Steve, with what's the name? We did the game, so he swapped the shirt. We played with
Dallas, didn't he? So with Dallas, didn't he? Yeah.
So we've got a huge week ahead. So I'm.
I know. I was going to ask you about that. What do you reckon? Do you think Scotland, Northern Ireland? Do you think the Paul's going to do it?
Scotland's a much tougher arse than ours away from home.
Yeah, I agree.
Going to Serbia and winning there is not easy.
No.
Us, we play Slovakia side, who looks like the Republic of Ireland played them without Skriniar, who's maybe without Dubravka, and without Lubovkin. I think they'll all be back, which will make them a much better side to the boy from now.
Yeah.
But Skriniar from Inter Milan is probably their best player. So if he's back, it makes a huge difference. But we're at home, so I think there'll be a splattering of fans in the ground. Yeah. It's a game that's set up for us, because if they come on, we're not bad, and I'd love a centre forward who's getting goals. We haven't got that, in terms of. Although it was good to see Liam Boyce and Josh McGuinness score yesterday, but that's not meant rudely to them. That Josh McGuinness and Liam, we're at that level in terms of centre forwards. We haven't got a Healy, we haven't got Lafferty.
Everyone needs to have a 10 out of 10 game, though, don't I think that's what you've got to go in 10 games.
Have that. And I think it may be Connor Washington who starts the game because he's in a bit decent form at Charlton. So anyway, it'd be interesting to see. The big thing is we've got Johnny Evans, who's been colossal.
Leader,
Jamal Lewis, Cathcart, and he spins that about with it. We've got Paddy McNair, so who's becoming quite influential at Middlesbrough now. So there's something there. The big boy who they took, who's gone to Burnley, Bailey Peacock Farrell. So he's a big keeper, feels the goal. So yeah, I'm very hopeful. We're looking forward to it. I'm looking forward to it. Listen, for Ian Barracker, if I know, and not being rude, it's a big elevation in his career from come from managing under to now being your national manager without any managerial experience per se, outside one or two little frequent 10 or 12 games, to have an international manager job. Good for him. He's a nice fella, but I know him very well.
Yeah, good.
It'd be a fantastic achievement for him. That win in Bosnia was big. I mean,
it was good. Just before we go, because we've only got a minute left, but I just want to get you quick predictions. Now we've had the first 10 games.
Yeah.
Man City, Liverpool. Who's your? I mean, if it is them two for the top, who's your pick? If you had to put a wager on it right now, Liverpool.
Because I just don't see anyone stopping them scoring.
Fair play.
Score more than that. I think they'll score more. I don't think there's got to be. I think still there's something going on with Pep and the centre forward Aguero. In and out. What I mean? Jesus and who's the surprise this year? Don't know. Listen,
Spurs, sneaky outsiders. I tell you.
I quite like. I think Leicester might have a little go this year again. I mean, they've got some strange results, but I quite like Leicester. There's some players in there who, I like Harvey Barnes. I think
he's a good player. I like Harvey Barnes. I'm a big fan of him, and I'm a big fan of Maddison.
Evans. They bought that Wesley Fofana. Looked decent the other day for a young boy. So all of a sudden, I think
it's going to be close. Listen, it's going to be close.
I think Chelsea will go close.
Well, we haven't even really spoken on Chelsea. Listen, we'll get you back on, and we're going to.
I watched Chelsea at Burnley. They destroyed Burnley.
I know they did. And the thing about Chelsea is
not many people do that. Burnley defended well. Tell you what, the centre forward who scored again yesterday. I think he's deadly.
Yeah.
What a piece of business that is.
We will get you back on here, but listen, we've only got 10 seconds left. We've only got 10 seconds left, so I just want to say thanks for coming on again, man. We'll get you back on. We'll talk over. We'll get the Christmas period out of the way and whatnot. But thanks for coming on again, Ian. Anyway, and we will be in touch with you soon, man. Thanks for coming on.